Hey, Wealthy Legacy Journeyers, welcome back to another episode of the Wealthy Legacy Journey. And the title of today's episode is Balancing Processes and People. And it's really interesting because one of the things that I say all the time to my team is that I believe we always have a process problem until we don't. And once we are for sure that we do not have a process problem, then we can evaluate whether it is a people problem or not, and then how to overcome that. But a lot of times I find that usually the process problem is somebody doesn't know what to do or how to do it, or they're confused. And even if I've explained it, if I haven't explained it in a good way, they still might walk away from that conversation confused. And it's my job as the leader to make sure that I do explain it in a way that's not confusing. I clear the confusion, make sure that they fully understand. They've repeated it back to me in a way from their own like understanding of it, repeated it back, and now we're on the same page. Then they can move forward. And then from there, I got to make sure that they have the education, the skill sets, the desires, and the ability to be able to get it done. And then I'll be able to overcome both the process and the people problem, or just situation. I shouldn't even say problem. But balancing the processes and the people has been a big part of this week. So as we wrapped up the website, which was a really exciting, checkbox done, we actually did success reviews all this past week, and we brought each of the team in because now we've got somewhere along the lines of like 15 people on the team. And so I just had a one-on-one with every single one of them. And I said, hey, what's going well? What's not working? We have a weekly stand-up review of all the listings where it's a time for us to review the team. But this was a great chance for the team really to review us. Where have we overpromised and under-delivered? And generally we had really good feedback and a lot of good feedback around the culture that we've created and all that kind of stuff. So as we're building out these systems and these processes, the real question in my mind is how can we continue to scale, build processes, but not make it feel like corporate? I don't want it to feel just so rigid and boring and exhausting to go to work. I want everybody to be fun when they fun and exciting to go to work. Sure, there are some things that we have to do that are a little bit repetitive and mundane. It's just a part of the process, but I generally want people to enjoy being here. That's what keeps morale up. That's what keeps the culture running strong, right? So how do we accomplish that goal? So this week doing those success reviews, that was really, really great. Enjoyed those a lot. We're going to be moving into doing a lot more marketing and leads and bringing in more deal flow in the door, which you already have a decent amount to work with as is. But everybody's excited to get more deal flow coming into the door. So that helped morale. That helped, just kind of a culture boost, and everyone's excited. We're also looking at, implementing some associate team leads for the purchase team and the leads team. So currently we have Artie, who is our assistant team lead on the sell side. So if we can get an assistant team lead on the purchase side and the lead side as well, where Nathan is still essentially the team lead for all those, that final point of contact, but somebody who can help build out those processes. I've seen so much value there, to, already being in that position. But it's interesting because the gut reaction might be like, wow, so you're going to pay more people? Because eventually we want our team leads to be like paid. Um, and I would say, no, we're not. We can offer incentives, right? Of like, hey, future growth projection is going to look like this, but that means that we're going to then be on the clock, right? Somebody who becomes assistant team lead. If I'm saying, hey, we can grow, this is what we would project the role of team lead to look like. They're on the clock, because if I put them in that assistant team lead role for too long and they're just sitting there, they're going to get frustrated. Also, I'm going to have to be able to give some value adds back to them, so that way they can be more profitable in what they're currently doing as a real estate agent within our team. So is that getting them premium leads? Is that changing the splits to be a little bit more in their favor? I don't know, but all that stuff requires me not to have to pull extra dollars out of my pocket up front. Yes, maybe it takes away from the bottom line on the backside, but so does paying a paycheck. But this allows me not to have to do it up front. So how can we get creative with the structure, to offer incentives, but then also be able to have a point person there to help build that process? It's been interesting. One of the things that came up so much as we were meeting this week was, how have y'all built so fast, so well? And I believe two things. One, the Lord. Like, the Lord is helping just to give wisdom and guidance and helping us to build that out. So I absolutely want to start with that first and foremost. But the second thing is, I think we have the right people on the right seats of the bus, but we're not holding ourselves back saying, well, we don't have enough money to pay salaries right now for certain different positions. So we're not even going to allow ourselves to go forward. But instead, we're just making interesting propositions to the people that are working with us. We're saying, hey, if you jump into this role, it's going to help take you forward. It's going to help take the entire team forward. And we can offer these different things to help make your day to day operations more profitable and put more money into your pocket on what you're currently working on, plus growing out this role, plus the future growth path. And everybody going into leadership, a huge part of what fulfills them, they find to be what they believe would be fulfilling for them in their life, would be impacting others and giving back, pouring back into. So that's really the vision that is casted. We're not casting this vision for how can you be uber wealthy, like that uber wealth kind of person. They probably need to move into, like, in my mind, after somebody hits $100,000 NCI net commission income, then it's like, do you want to be a millionaire real estate investor, a millionaire real estate agent, or do you want to pour back into the culture, the model that we are building here? Not to say you can't grow wealth in that direction. I actually want to really make sure that those people are able to build wealth through a lot of the things I'm excited about that we're building with, the Wealthy Legacy Journey and how to get your money working for you and all that kind of great stuff. But with that said, it's just going to be a different avatar who wants to go down each and every one of those paths. So it was just really exciting to have some really cool conversations that I think are going to help be able to take us forward, especially, on the purchase and the leads team side. Because in my mind, I'm like, man, if we have 3 assistant team leads, that means that, then over the coming months, as we build out the marketing, we know who to go to, who are point people for this. They can continue building those out strong as Artie's built out the sell team strong. We can go into, instead of like this, we can end up into this place where we end up with a surplus of deals and transactions again, and then we can turn back around, we can recruit. But now we're recruiting people into more of a substantial workflow and structure. It's not just, like a couple people. It's like you actually really have people to point to talk to for training and resources and flow to build things that work. And it's been really cool. One of the things that came up was me even thinking the other day, wow, if Artie wasn't here as an assistant cell team lead, I wouldn't be able to have built so much so fast. Just for, like, I basically took an entire week, maybe no, 2 weeks at this point, to, well, week and a half, to build out a bunch of marketing plan, and then I turned around, I built the website. I've taken the last few days of this week. I guess this comes out Monday, so the last few days of last week, and I worked on getting a bunch of to-dos. So I keep these like little notepads on my desk, and I'll end up with at max 5 of them. And then at that point, that's when I have to stop and actually consolidate them to one list, start knocking stuff out. And so it's usually about every 1 to 2 weeks, I'll end up at this place where I've got like 200 to 300 unread emails, like 100 unread texts. Well, the texts actually build up pretty quick. I'll get like 100 unread texts, it seems like, in just like half a week. I'll probably get like 150 emails a week that I got to go through. A bunch of them are just crap, and so I got to go through that. But then there's a couple I need to respond to, get back to. I got to make sure I keep up with Slack. And then these to-do lists get a mile long as I'm building stuff into them. And then I have a couple days where I like just get a bunch of little stuff done, and then I can go back to the big project that I'm working on. So when this video comes out next week, I'll be back into a whole bunch of marketing. I'm building the rest of that out. I'm building an ultimate marketing checklist right now for the team, which is going to be outstanding. And we have got actually some of the team. One of the team members has a background in marketing. We're working with Debbie Viverito, who helped build up JPAR, and then one person that's inside the organization named Christian. She was performing one role. We're gonna have a switch over and be marketing coordinator. So then between Ty, this real estate agent who has a marketing background, Tiana Fandozzi Bugs, which if you need a great realtor, she's one of the great realtors that we work with, and I would recommend. And then when you have Debbie Viverito and you got Christian, and I think them 3 together are going to be an awesome marketing team. I can help, I can support. But I'm kind of getting addicted to this feeling of like finding the right people, plugging them together, and then just letting them soar. Like, I've had so much fun over the years figuring things out and soaring myself, but it's actually been really fun and rewarding for me as a leader to plug the right people together and then watch them get excited and light up about what they're doing because they're in the right place and they get to soar. And then because of their growth, I also experience growth. And so it's like, that's fun for me to experience growth off of, what they're growing and see their excitement and see that they're just taking it and run with it. And I don't have to build everything. And that's something I'm starting to understand more and more. I knew it in my brain because I've read so many different books, but it's starting to come down into my heart as I really understand it. I've been through those situations. I'm like, oh, that's the feeling. That's why we let people, kind of take ownership, take initiative, and run. So that's been really cool. Haven't gotten to have that conversation with Nathan yet around Hudson, but I need to. In fact, I should put that on my notes here to talk about with him this next week. But we need to get that sold. When I checked, I think we were in the high 80s last after I went to publish the episode last week. So it's like, okay, I'm good. I got a little bit of time, but I would love to hit that the six figures by the $100,000 mark by 100 episodes. And so I've got somewhere around like 10, 12 to go. Um, Man, it was really as you look at what the market's done, it's been really interesting just to see kind of the market kind of balance itself out, figure out what its next step is going to be. So our cost base is super low on what we bought off SPLG, which essentially follows the broad market of the S&P 500. Um, did really well buying the dip. Sold some into the initial rise, and then I've just sold some covered calls this morning. This morning that I recorded the video at 66 and 68 on SPLG because I don't think it'll break through. It's got this huge VP zone. If I were to take a guess, it's either going to move sideways off of it, or what would be even better for me possibly would be to take another dip. And so I'm actually going to be, I'm not sure if I'm going to sell puts or if I'm going to take a position, but essentially I was originally kind of had backed my plan way off to like a 25, 35, 45% pullback. But there's been a lot of changes in the tariffs. President Donald Trump has really seemed to back off his aggressive stance, not wanting to implode the economy. And for a minute there, I was not quite sure. And so now I'm thinking about trying to take some sort of position, whether it's selling puts or actually buying at 15, 20, and a 25% pullback if it does pull back again, or I'll hold these positions, let them run, and then just figure out what to do with the rest of that cash. We've got another deal paying off, which I can't remember if I talked about this last week, but that should put about another $10,000 towards our investment fund. So currently we've got about $15,000 cash sitting there that I've got to figure out something to do with. Plus, then this will be like another 10 grand, so it'll be 25. And so, if I don't have an opportunity to buy on the market on a pullback, I will probably be investing that into like real estate. So maybe you guys are gonna get to see another tax sale because I do want to put it somewhere. So I'm going to take the time to make sure that that happens. Also, when this deal comes out, gets paid out here in about 2, 3 weeks. We are planning to, I can't remember if I mentioned this last week, so if it's redundant, I apologize, but we're planning to beef up our emergency fund all the way to 6 months, and 3 of those months are going to be gold. And so right now I have it marked because we do have quite a bit of emergency fund cash. And so I want to see it hit down to the 34 EMA. That seems to be a good support place for gold. So if when the gold price comes back down, hits that 34 EMA, especially as the inflationary concerns have really backed off, I don't think they're totally, done with. And so I don't think we're going to see a drop in gold price, but I could be totally wrong. We do own some gold down in we bought it like the $2,700 range. And so I'm not too concerned it will raise our cost basis, but I'm assuming we'll probably buy some more gold around like the somewhere between 3,000 and $3,200 range, probably closer to like 3,200, maybe somewhere more, I should say, like around like 3,150 to like 3,200 would be my guess. That's where I'd love to probably pick up some more gold. Nothing crazy. I think we'll probably pick up like 3 or 4 ounces of it. And that'll finish off our emergency fund there, which will be great. Off that, we're also going to get Libby a new van to kind of get ahead of the clock because her current van's pushing about 200,000. So we'll own that cash, and that'll be great to get her closer down to about 100,000 miles on her van. And then, be able to then figure out, okay, we've got, 15, 25,000 ish. We'll see how all the math plays out to deploy in the market. Where do we put it? How do we be strategic with this money? That's probably going to be like a tax sale or something like that. Just got to figure out where that's going to go, when that's going to happen. We also own some Bido. I'm super happy with that. I would love to increase my position in that over time especially as we get the dividend payments coming in on that and essentially lower our cost basis down, down, down as we get those payments. Made a ton off of, was sold that 19 put for like $250 and ended up we ended up getting filled and the price was something like 1880 whenever it filled. But, off of that 250 that we, got from the 19 put that we sold, essentially put our cost base on it down like 1650. So I was super happy with that. The price actually did come down and hit 1650 at a point. So I could have bought more and I thought about it, but that was when the market was going crazy. I was not really sure. I ended up accidentally leveraged in the market, learned a lot off that experience. We're now up from there, from an account perspective. So I'm very happy with where we're at. It was a learning experience that hurt a little bit, but not too bad. Um, just kind of a rip the band-aid off moment and really got a chance to learn. So essentially, now where we're at on everything is the market going to pull back a little bit? If it does, we're going to buy some more. If the market keeps ripping, then we're probably going to have to go out and find a real estate deal. I am going to diversify a little bit, buy some gold. I'm thinking about actually going and buying some bonds too to kind of balance out the portfolio because we're here at this like historical low. I've talked about this for a few weeks. I've just kind of been like on the edge of is this something I want to do or not? Been looking at that all weather portfolio, but it's hard because to be honest with you, the all weather portfolio it just underperforms so much over time. I'm like, is that really? And it still has a drawdown when the market pulls back. It's not as aggressive, but also if you look at like how high the market, it's just like I just don't think the pros outweigh the cons on it. But I've been looking at it, I've been doing the math. Looking at it, kind of stepping away, thinking about it, looking at it in a different scenario, and I've replaced, I've looked at different, lots of different options, like replacing commodity for utilities, such as like oil and gas. I've looked at replacing, that commodity section just completely with gold and holding a 15% gold, balancing things out different. And at the end of the day, I feel like, man, if I want to protect my position, we're gonna have a pretty good stake in gold compared to our overall, invested net worth into the market. I think we have real estate holdings, which historically over time does not drop. We just have to be willing to hold through the hard. And so that, planning on either maintaining those or if those sell, then, buying more real estate. We do have the broad market owning SPLG. Do I want bond exposure? I think the market's going to have another bigger pullback at some point through 2026. Do I want to hold on to bonds for the next year and a half? There is a small dividend payout, but I don't know. When I look at the yield from a dividend perspective, I like Bido a lot. And so I'm just kind of at this place where I'm like, I just don't really know what the next right step is. I have a lot of mental bandwidth that's going to what we're building here at the brokerage. And I don't want to accidentally start giving too much mental bandwidth to our other portfolio. So then there's a huge part of me that's like, just go out, try to buy a tax lot for somewhere like, 10 to 20, maybe 25 grand, maybe even 30. And I could pull some out if I needed to, somewhere maybe between like 10 and 30 grand, something that's, worth double to triple what I'm buying it for, turn around, get it listed, and then it's just like, don't even think about it. Um, is that then at that point, it's like you have so much equity in that deal that even if the market does pull back, I'm not really concerned about it. Like, I don't think I'm going to lose money on it and I might break even on it, but I don't know. So, I'm at this place where honestly the biggest, like I said, the biggest place that my brain is at right now is that balancing processes and people. And then kind of secondary to that is how do I get my money working for me efficiently to build that long-term wealth over time. But that's not the first place my mind is. My first place is right now is in the building of the brokerage. And it's taking a lot of bandwidth and time and energy and capacity to do that. And so that's where I was thinking all weather portfolio. But honestly, when you have a bull run, it really underperforms on a pullback. It still pulls back. Something I was looking for is that, if you look from like peak to peak, as far as like on the drawdowns actually typically last longer than they do on the S&P. So sure, it's deeper, but as long as I'm willing to hold through the drawdown, which I am, what am I really all that worried about? So I think now I'm like, well, maybe I should just stick with the, SPLG, buy the dip kind of thing, and just recognize that's money that I'm willing to, leave for 10 years on a massive drawdown. Just forget about it until the market, recovers. Um, so I think that's a good place, to kind of leave it for today. I mean, we've got the deal coming through. We're looking at, distributing, really bulking up. It'll be nice to have a 6 month emergency fund. That's a really, to me, that's like a really strong place to be at. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about being able to, reinvest some of the money into a practical minivan. You're talking like a 2014 model, so about 10-ish years old, about 100,000 miles, but way better than our current 2007 that's at 200,000 miles. That one, it starts to feel like this might be a ticking time bomb. We're getting high in the miles. I'd rather offload that risk, and bulk up. I know it's going to cost me some, but then take on much lower risk. So I don't, because here's the thing is like if the car breaks down, the amount of mental capacity that's going to take from me in a season where I have just almost none to give anywhere else, it just the balance is not there. So I'd rather remain in control and be able to take that on now. But I do want to own it cash. Um, So that's kind of where we're at right now. Um, I think that's a great place to stop today's video. A little quick update there. I hope you guys found that helpful in some way. Let's close out with our identity mantra and then we'll get out of here. So I'll say it first. You guys say it after me. I explore the unknown. I conquer new frontiers. My journey is powerful and my wake is a wealthy legacy. So go out there. One of the things, and I'm going to go a little rabbit trail here, but one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot as we've been, talking about the assistant team leads and trying to bring on more deal flow and stuff like that, I call it like a Rockefeller promise. And I always think back to this moment. I watched this, The Men Who Built America. It was like a documentary series. I remember when it talked about Rockefeller committing to, I think it wasn't Carnegie. Who was it with the railroads? Gosh, name totally slips my mind. But he had committed so many barrels of oil on the railroad every single day, but he wasn't at a place where he's actually able to produce that amount. But that's what got him the price that made sense for him to be able to move the oil. And then he had to figure out how to make sure there was that many barrels of oil a day, right? So it's like committed to something in order to get him the price that he needed in order to be able to have that growth. And then he had to work his butt off to make sure that he was actually able to hold off to that commitment, or hold to that commitment, to be able to fulfill on the commitment that he made in order to be able to make the deal work. So I feel like I've done that a few different times here. That's something I think Nathan's much better at than I am, is just kind of jumping into it. He's pushing me to be better about that, jumping into it, just figuring it out, making it happen as we go. But to build well, like I'm kind of that other side where it's like I'm slowing us down to make sure that we can actually build well, and we're building really strategically each piece that goes in to make sure that, hey, what we build today is going to be scalable into the future. So it's been a good balance. But yeah, when you think about like exploring the unknown, journeying into new frontiers, conquering your fears, all that kind of stuff. Like I'm right there in the boat with you. It's been so much figuring it out as we go. But I tell you this, pushing yourself and that learning process, it produces fruits and it's so good. And as a reminder, the way we define wealth here at the Wealthy Legacy Journey is simply to be able to produce your monthly income needs without having to lift a finger. And legacy is leaving a long lasting impact on those who come after you as they receive the fruits of your labor, whether that for be good or bad. So make sure that you are planting good seeds, cultivating good trees, and you will produce good fruit. Awesome hanging out with you guys today, and I will see y'all on the next episode. Bye, everybody.